Who you fall for? Is it really fate? Origins of relationship patterns. In reality, the person you'll fall in love with is often predetermined in childhood. Who you're attracted to is sometimes truly a matter of fate. All our emotional relationships essentially recreate the relationship patterns we had with our parents. In psychology, there's a term called traumatic attraction. It refers to the traumatic events caused by parents during childhood that lead to negative emotions such as low self-esteem, disappointment, and insecurity. Manifestations in adult relationships. As adults, when we experience familiar feelings of trauma with someone, we're drawn to them, often unable to break free. This is because these traumatic relationship patterns provide a familiar sense of security. For example, a child who was neglected growing up might, as an adult, encounter a partner who ignores them. Instead of immediately considering a breakup, despite feeling hurt by being neglected, their subconscious finds this interaction pattern deeply familiar. They can anticipate potential outcomes in this familiar scenario. Paradoxically, for them, predictable harm feels safer than unpredictable love. Consequently, they're repeatedly attracted to similar types of people, seeking that familiar sense of security in comparable relationship patterns. Similarly, someone raised to be obedient and compliant, despite having their personal needs constantly suppressed, might seek a controlling partner. They won't think of resisting. Instead, they'll repeatedly compromise and lower their standards to satisfy their partner's need for control. This is because a child conditioned to be extremely obedient often can't shake off their dependence on their parents. Thus, they need a partner who can provide a feeling similar to what they experience with their parents. Beyond traumatic attraction, many people stubbornly cling to the same relationship patterns in an attempt to rescue their wounded past selves. Their internal monologue goes something like this: "My first relationship failed, but I've learned from it and made changes. Won't things be different next time?" So they continually return to the past. If their first partner had a bad temper, each subsequent partner will have a bad temper. If the first was unfaithful, the next ones won't be trustworthy either. They attempt to find a partner who truly accepts them among these similar individuals, trying to prove to themselves that they are worthy of love. In other words, they're using a trauma-inducing pattern to heal their trauma. This expectation of proving one's worth through others' love exposes their own inner lack. A person who isn't internally strong will only attract those with questionable character or ulterior motives. Ultimately, after a series of disappointing outcomes, they begin to doubt and even attack themselves. At this point, you might wonder if we're doomed by our childhood traumas. Is there no way out of this cycle? Absolutely not. Why would I tell you about this otherwise? You should understand that most of us enter into intimate relationships carrying some degree of trauma. Recognizing your trauma isn't meant to serve as an excuse for all your problems or to justify giving up. While our traumas were formed in childhood, beyond our control, as adults, we must strive to address the negative impacts of our family of origin. The power to change always lies within our own hands. So, if you find yourself repeatedly encountering the wrong people and unable to leave, first try to understand your past self and those imperfect relationships. Seeing your past self allows you to be less harsh on yourself and prevents you from being trapped by that sense of lack. You won't repeat rigid relationship patterns for the sake of familiar security. Secondly, learn to focus on personal growth and change, shifting from seeking externally to seeking internally. Only when you're internally abundant can you approach your relationships with a truly open and honest attitude, reassessing them in a new light. If you enjoyed this series, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your free likes are the greatest encouragement for me. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.